Hi, my name is Alicia and welcome to Mess to Masterpiece. Today's topic is central line dysfunction. So, what in the world am I talking about? I'm sure you're asking. Well, a lot of you know I've had a lot of different kinds of lines, and the last one I had was called a Hickman, and so it was in my chest, and I had had that one since about July, and it had been a great line, working well, hadn't had any problems, which is really good considering a lot of the lines I would have problems with. And so everything was great. Even on Monday, I went to get my dressing changed as normal, and it was working fine. Everything was fine. Although yesterday afternoon, I was unhooking from one of my medicines because the bag was done. It was a gravity hang bag, so it had been dripping a while. And so I unhooked the cap, and as soon as I did, there was blood that just started pouring out. And normally the little end caps, they're blue for me, but they are like a buffer to stop it. Anything that would be coming out, so that's never things just come flying out the blue caps. So I was definitely concerned, needless to say, and so I with blood just like everywhere, I was like, okay, so I called my nurse, and my nursing team is just amazing. So huge shout out to them at BioScript. Just so blessed to have them, and especially in this moment, my nurse got on FaceTime with me, and so she was able to see what was going on with my line, and to see, tell me what to do, try this, try that, and also being able to see the blood coming and trying to figure out where it was coming from. And so, needless to say, after we were on the phone for a few minutes, I still was losing blood, and I started having a lot of chest pain, and especially when I flushed. And so she was like, stop, don't do anything else, we got to figure out, you need to go to the ER. And I was getting really nauseous and lightheaded too, and so that's definitely always a concern, especially when it comes to lines, and because with my history with clots and things. So I hung up and called 911, and they came and got me. And luckily, we had figured out a way to clamp off my line, and so that way then it wasn't pouring the blood, so I wasn't losing so much blood. So once I got to the ER, they were really crazy busy. It was just really crazy. And I was just even in a stretcher in the hallway for the whole time I was there. And so they ended up, by the time they got to me, it was 5 o'clock-ish, 5:05 I think it was. And the team that places lines and fixes the lines, they were gone for the day, and they didn't have an emergency line to call or anything. So that was definitely a problem. So what they did is they decided to they put an IV in my arm and gave me fluids and one of my medicines, because at this point my body had already gone 5 or 6 hours without anything. And because I rely on my line for, my medicines, my food, my fluids, everything. So when I don't have a line working, it's not a good situation. So thankfully I was able to get a little bit, and they sent me home. And of course they tell you to rest, but with my body was just so out of whack, because it's used to having CPN, and it's used to having my medicines, and it was what is going on in life, and plus losing a lot of blood. But thankfully I called this morning to the hospital like they had told me to in the ER, and they went and put my new line in. And so they had to pull out. What they found out where the blood was coming from is that my old line cracked inside of me, and so that's kind of it's kind of crazy, how in the world can that happen? But a lot of you that know me are like, oh yeah, that makes total sense, because I have crazy things happen to me. So found that out, and luckily, though it hadn't completely disconnected or anything, it was still all in one piece. It just had the crack. So they were able to pull it out, and they ended up placing a different kind of a line. It's called a tunneled catheter, or tunneled CVC. And so this is, you can see, there's my line. The gauze is just there because of the bleeding, and then they had to there's a little incision up here too where they go in, and they just put it next to my other line, and you can see, I don't know, especially in the light, all the different colors. That looks better than it did before. Thankfully my nurse was able to clean me up afterward, but because the dyes and things, the cleaner that they use to putting lines in, and plus just blood everywhere. So anyway, they were able to clean me up, and so I have the doctor and I, the doctor that I've been in, I've had a lot of procedures with him before, and oddly enough, when you have a line placed, most of the time, you're completely awake. And that is definitely scary the first time, first couple of times, and just anything new, you just don't know what to expect. But luckily, the team that I had today, I've had before, and so they were really great. And the doctor, like, we were having a conversation, like, he was explaining to me how the line works, and, like, just catching up on life kind of a thing, while he put my line in. And so, that was crazy, but I'm so thankful that they were able to get in. So let me show you the catheter, and then I'll wrap this up. But this is what sticks out. So most of you have seen that part that sticks out from a line, but this is a cuff. And so what happens is that they put this inside so this part is inside of you, so the rest of this is. And so the cuff is what holds it in place. So, like, my tissues are gonna, like, in my chest will absorb around it, and so it'll be holding a lot better once it heals. The next couple of weeks, I have, like, these two little, like, stitches kind of a thing to hold it better. But then once this heals, then it'll be good to go. I obviously have to be careful because they can always pull things out, but it'll be a lot nicer. And so this little wire, it's crazy to me that this little line is what feeds me. Like, this thing right here is what keeps me alive, like, right now, with all of my medicines, and everything goes to this line. So that's just amazing to me. Just the miraculous power of God. I mean, honestly, like, that's just incredible. And so this tip, we're probably like, what in the world, where does that tip go? Well, that goes at the top of your heart. It's called the superior vena cava, and so that is what feeds it through my heart. And so that's why, like, when I get an infection, or even any kind of, like, suspected anything, I have to go to the hospital because it could be infected. And then any kind of infection in the line or inside of me, it'll spread faster because it's going through my heart, and it could even damage my heart. Like when I had the fungal infection this summer, I had to go through a heart procedure just to make sure that all my heart was okay and it hadn't been affected. So this is a tunneled CVC outside the body. The doctor was pretty cool and letting me at least be able to take. He said they joked with me and said it was my souvenir for the craziness that I've had to go through. But so far, I'm just pretty sore. And it just kind of like stiffness in your neck. That's the best way once the numbing wears off. But hopefully it'll be healed up the next couple of days. And I'm just really, really thankful. Again, like, when you go through anything like this, especially like losing a lot of blood, a lot of the times, like, I black out when I have, issues, or, with the stroke and things, and so I don't remember it very well. But this was definitely very scary because I was completely, like, awake and with it and watching blood pour from my body. So I'm just so thankful, for my nurse. She's amazing, and that they were able to get the new line and everything today. But ultimately for God, he was no doubt watching out for me. From the beginning, just filling me with his peace. And that for me, that's what I rest. I really rely upon that, just to get me through. The Lord, without him, there's no way that I could, continue to, hang in there and push on, and just excited to see what God continues to do with me in the days ahead, because he's not finished with me yet. If you have any questions or anything, always feel free to message me. I have my YouTube page here, but also I have an Instagram, Mess to Masterpiece, and check out my blog too. Thanks.